Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In today's video we are going to learn about for loops. So firstly we would like to print numbers from 1 to 5 using for loops. But if we want to print these numbers, we have one way to do so. So the way that we can do it is that we can have such a thing. Let me comment these lines first. So this part also and this part. Okay. Now I can have the print of 1, 2, 3, 4, and finally 5. So I can print them from 1 to 5 because these are the numbers that I want to print. So I write down the syntax system out print ln number 1, 2, 3 up until 5. So when I run this code, I see that in the output we are having from number 1 to 5. So we could print numbers from 1 to 5, but the statement says that do it using a for loop. In order to use a for loop, we need to define a for loop, and for loops are generally better than doing things manually because now we are trying to basically using for loops to make things easier for us, because if I want to print like 1000 lines or from number 1 to 1000, it would be very hard to do it manually. This is why actually we code, to make our life easier. However, if we use for loops, you can do it in 2 lines. Let me show you how. So when I come here, let me comment now this part. So oops, sorry. So now let me comment this part. Okay, so now that I comment this part, we see that we can make it easier using for loops. Okay, now I want to have a for loop to print from number 1 to 5. In order to do that, firstly we need to write down the for keyword. Then inside parentheses, we need to clarify 3 things. So the starting point, the variable with its starting point, the ending point, and the incremental value. So these are the 3 things that we need to know about it. The starting point, the ending point, and the incremental value. Okay, so this is the starting point. I define an integer variable called I, which is my iterating variable. Okay, so the iterating variable I equals 1, meaning that it starts from 1, and we are having semicolon. Then we are going to continue this for loop as long as I is less than or equal to 5. This is just an assumption for this problem statement. We can of course modify it for later examples. Then semicolon, and then we are having the I++, meaning that in each iteration I would like to increment the value of I by 1 value. And this is basically the for loop. So here what is going to iteratively happen is the fact that in each iteration I is being printed in the output, meaning that in the first iteration I equals 1, we are going to print number 1. Okay, so number 1 is being printed. Then we are having the second iteration, I equals 2, number 2 is being printed. Okay, because in each iteration we are having I, and I gets different values in different iterations. So the first time I equals 1, we print 1, and then because we are going to increment after each iteration I by 1 value, we are having the I equals 2. We enter the loop again. Why? Because 2 is still less than 5. So we print 2, we print 3, we print 4, we print 5, but we increment the I to another by another value, so it will become 6. So I equals 6. Then 6, is it less than or equal to 5? No. Therefore this condition is not true. Therefore we don't have 6 being printed in the output. This is why we mention continue this for loop as long as I is less than or equal to 5. So now we are having it print here in the output from 1 to 5 is being printed using for loop. So you see that here using 2 lines we could do it. We can go up until like 100, for example. Let me run the code now. So when I run the code now, you see that we went up until 100. So these are the prints. You see, everything is done in only 2 lines. However, if we wanted to do these things manually, it would have been very hard to, write the syntax 100 times in different lines. So this is why coding is going to make our life much easier. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In today's video, we would like to print numbers that are even between 0 and 10. So whatever the we would like to actually find the even numbers that are in this range for us. How can we do it? We can directly print 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10, but there is a better way to do it. We can use for loops. The starting point will be at number 2, the first even number. Then we are going to continue as long as I, the iterating variable, is less than or equal to 10, because the 10 is the ending point of our range. After that, we need to have the incremental value for our iteration. So the incremental value could be starting from 2, ending at 10, but the incrementing value will be but not by 1 unit, by 2 units. Let me illustrate it with an example in the code. So we are having a for loop. The iterating variable I equals 2, so the starting point is 2, and this loop is going to continue as long as I is less than or equal to 10. And in each iteration, we are going to increment the value of I by 2, because we would like it to have only even numbers. So if I print number 2 in the first iteration, in the next iteration I equals 4, because we are incrementing by 2 values. If I increment it by 1 value only, it will be 3. I don't want 3 because I'm looking for even numbers. This is why I have the incremental of 2 values in each iteration. So we are going to start from 2 as long as I is less than 10, less than or equal to 10, and I is going to be incremented by 2 values. Plus equals mean like this. So we could have plus I plus 2. So we could have something like this, meaning that the new I equals I plus 2. So the current I is 2. We are going to increment it by another 2 value. It will be 4, and 4 will be assigned to the left hand side, which is here. Or we can have this, for the sake of simplicity, we can have plus equals 2. Let me put a comment here for you. So I plus equals 2 is the same as I equals I plus 2. So I, the value initially it is 2, plus 2, it will be 4, and it will be assigned to the new I. So you can either write it this way, or you can write it this way, depending on what is the most convenient one. Okay, and then in each iteration we are going to have the print of value I. So when I run this code, we see in the first iteration number 2 is being printed because I equals 2, and we print 2 right away. Then I equals 4 because we incremented by 2 values. So 4 is being printed, then 6, then 8, and then 10. If I want to print only even numbers between 0 and 100, also we can do it. So the ending point is now 100. I run the code one more time. You see that only the even numbers are being printed. 100, 98, 96, 94, 92, 90, 88, 84, 82, 80, etc. until the end. So this is how we can have the print of even numbers from 0 to 10 using for loops. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone, and welcome to this video. In today's video, we would like to write a program that calculates the sum of numbers from 1 to 5 using a for loop. So we know that if we want to have this calculation manually, we can have it simply. We can have a variable called x, int x equals 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, and finally we have the sum of these numbers from 1 to 5. So this is something that we can do it manually. But what if we want to do it for 2000 numbers? How would it be possible to do it manually? It would be very hard. So this is why we use for loops in order to do it quickly and in a more efficient way. So we are having a variable called sum that is equal to 0 in the beginning of the program. And then we are having a for loop for each iterating variable I equals to 1. And this loop is going to be continued as long as I is less than or equal to 5. And in each iteration, we are going to increment the value of I by 1 unit. So in each iteration, what we do is that we are having the sum equals plus equals I. Plus equals I means that sum equals sum plus I. They are identical, either this or this. Okay, they're identical. It's your choice to choose which one you would like to work with. So in the first iteration, I equals 1. Therefore, we are having sum equals 0 plus 1. Why 0 plus 1? Because 0 is the initial number. And then I equals 1 in the first iteration. So we are having 0 plus 1. The output will be 1. Then we are having I equals 2. We are having sum equals 1 plus 2. Why 1 plus 2? Where the sum equals 1 now from the first iteration, and I equals 2. This is why we are having 1 plus 2. It will be 3. In the third iteration, we are having the sum equals 3 plus 3 equals 6. Then we are having the I equals 4. We are having the sum equals 6 plus 4 equals 10. Then finally we are having I equals 5. So sum equals 10 plus 5. So the output will be 15 using this for loop. So when I run this code, we should be able to see the same number. So the sum equals 15. Yes. So we did a for loop, and in each iteration we added the value of I to the variable sum that we initialized to be 0 before the for loops. And when the for loops is finished, we are having the print of the variable sum here that you see it here in the output. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone, and welcome to this video. In today's video, we would like to write a program that prints like a countdown from 5 to 1. So when I run the code, we see 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I would like to see this in the output. How can I do it using a for loop? In order to write such a program, we need to have a for loop, and for the iterating variable I that starts at 5, and it is going to continue as long as I is greater than or equal to 1. And in each iteration, we are going to decrease the value of I by 1 unit. Okay, so it is starting from 5, then it will be 4, then 3, then 2, and then 1, and then it will stop, because I is going to continue as long as I is greater than or equal to 1. So 5 is the first iteration, is the value of the first iteration for the variable I. So in the first iteration, we are going to print 5. Then we reduce the value of it by 1 unit, so it will be 4. So we print 4, then we print 3, then we print 2, and then we print 1. So this is how basically we can have a countdown system from 5 to 1 using a for loop. But we could have it from 100 also. So when I run the code now, I see that we are having 100, 99, 98, 97, 96, and it is being reduced up until it reaches number 1 here in the output. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone, and welcome to this video. In today's video, we are going to learn how to print numbers from 1 to 5 using while loops in Java. So first of all, we are having a variable called I. It's of integer data type, and it is equal to 1. So for a while loop, we need to have our iterating variable being defined a priori to our loop, to our while loop. And we are going to have the while loop, and this while loop is going to continue as long as I is less than or equal to 5. Okay, So in the first iteration, we check to see if 1 is less than 5, yes. Okay, so print that number of I, which is number 1. And then in the next line, increment its value. So I equals 2 now. It goes back to check the condition again. 2 less than 5, yes. So print 2 and increment it to 3. 3 less than 5, yes. So print 3 and increment it by 1. So 4 is less than 5, yes. Print 4, increment it by 1, it will become 5. So 5 is less than or equal to 5, yes. So print 5 and increment it by 1 unit, so it will become 6. And now 6, is it less than or equal to 5? No. Therefore, the while loop is terminated and we don't have any other iteration. And looking at the output, we see number 1 to 5 is being printed in the output. And this could be this could have another extension. For example, we could have while I is less than 50, for example, and I run the code now. You will see that we are going to start from 1 and it is going to continue until it reaches number 50 in the output. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In today's video we are going to learn how to print a string 3 times or multiple times, let's say. Now I would like to print hello world, this phrase, 3 times using a while loop. In order to do that, first of all, I initialize my iterating variable. It is initialized to be equal to 0. It's of integer type and it is called count. I would like to continue my while loop as long as this count is less than 3, meaning that it starts at 0, it will be 1 and 2. So we are going to have 3 iterations as exactly as this number that we were having here. So we would like to print it 3 times. In the first iteration, 0 is less than 3, yes. So we're going to enter this while loop, we print the hello world, and we increment the count. So now count is 1. 1 is less than 3, yes. So we are going to print the hello world one more time. Then we're going to increment the value from 1 to 2. So 2 less than 3, yes. Hello world is being printed. Now it will become 3, the count variable. So from 2 it became 3. So 3, is it less than 3? No. If it was less than or equal to 3, this statement was true. But now it says 3 less than 3. No, it's not true. We're not going to enter the while loop anymore. Looking at the terminal, we see that hello world is being printed 3 times, exactly as we want it here. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In today's video, we would like to print even numbers from 0 to 10 using a while loop. So first of all, the first even number is number 2. So number 2 is assigned to a variable called num, which is of integer data type. Then we use a while loop to print only the even numbers. So we say as long as this num variable, which is equal to 2, is less than or equal to 10, enter this while loop. Why less than or equal to 10? Because we want to have the even numbers between 0 and 10. So we don't want to go over that. We could go, but this is the problem statement for the moment. So 2, is it less than 10? Yes. So print number 2. You see it here. Print number 2 in the first iteration. Then increment the value of the variable num by 2 values. Now it was 2, it will become 4 now. So 4 less than or equal to 10. Yes. So print 4. So we see 4 here, and then increment 2 more unit to it. So now 4 became 6. 6 less than 10. Yes. Print 6. And then add 2 more values. So we see 6 here. Then 8 less than 10. Print 8. Increment it by another 2 value. So we have 8 here. And then 10 is less than or equal to 10. Yes. So print 10. And then increment this value by another 2 units. So it will become 12. 12, is it less than 10? No, this statement is not correct. Therefore, we are not going to enter this while loop anymore. So the program is finished. And we see that here we are having any even numbers between 0 and 10. We could have, for example, here we could have like between 0 and 20, for example. So when I run the code, you're going to see from 0 to 20, all the even numbers are being printed here. 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, and finally here 20. So this is how we can use a while loop in order to print even numbers. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In today's video we would like to discuss do while loops in Java. So this is the problem statement. Print numbers 1 to 5 using do while loop. So a do while loop is going to be defined like this. So I have the do keyword here, I have my square brackets, and then after the end of the square bracket, I'm going to have the while in the end. So let me illustrate this concept with an example. I would like to print numbers 1 to 5. So I initialize a variable called j, which is of integer data type, to be 1. So I would like to write a do while saying that do this, so do this while this condition. Okay, so execute this part of the code while this condition is true. So we are going to print the value of the variable j in the first iteration, then increment the value of j. Okay, so j from 1 it becomes 2 now, and we check to see 2, is it less than or equal to 5? Yes. Okay, now do one more time. So now print 2, increment it to be 3. 3, is it less than 5? Yes. So do it one more time. Print number 3, then increment it to be 4. 4, is it less than 5? Yes. So increment it. So go back up again and print it. So 4 is being printed. Then increment the number of j from 4 to 5. So 5, is it less than or equal to 5? Yes. So go and print 5 and increment it to by another 1 unit. So it will become 6. 6, is it less than 5? No. So the loop is terminated. But there is a difference between do while loops and for loops and while loops. So there, while we were discussing the while loops and for loops, we were first checking the conditions, saying that to check if this j is less than 5 initially, then we were going to execute a certain block of code. However, here what we are doing is that we are going to execute the block of code once at least, and then we're going to check the condition. So let me change this number. So now j equals 6 and I run the code. So what happens here is that we see j equals 6. We are going to do this part of the code, so execute this part of the code, saying that print j and increment this value. So j is being printed and then it is being incremented, and we are checking j, is it less than or equal to 5? No, therefore we are not having anything else because now j is 7. But what happens here is that j is already being printed once, while in the for and while loops it was not going to happen. We were checking the conditions, then we were executing the code. So this is why the do while loop is going to first print and execute certain block of the code in the square brackets of the do part, then it is going to check the condition for the next iterations. So in this video we learned how to print numbers from 1 to 5 using a do while loop. Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In today's video we would like to provide a coding exercise with respect to the do while loop in Java. So I would like to run the program first so you would see how the program works, and then we are going to discuss how the program is coded in fact. So when I run the code, it asks me to enter a positive number. But instead of a positive number, I write down -2. It says enter a positive number. I would write down -10. Again, it repeats. So I'm going to write down -20, -14, etc. So it is going to continue asking me to enter a positive number as long as I am writing a negative number. So as long as I'm writing a negative number, it is going to ask me enter a positive number, enter a positive number. But once I write down a positive number like this one, 10 here, it is going to say you entered 10. So the thing is that how is it possible? The way that we need to implement this one is using a do while loop. Why? Because without checking any conditions, first we're going to show this message to the user. Enter a positive number. And whatever the user is going to be entered, it is going to be stored in a variable called number, which is initialized here, and it is of an integer data type. Okay. And we are going to put a condition here as long as that number that is entered by users is less than or equal to 0, go back up again and show this message, enter a positive number to the user. So go back up again and enter a positive number. So I entered like -2. It is stored in a variable called number. And here we are checking this -2 is less than 0. Yes, absolutely correct. Then it goes back up again. It says enter a positive number. So it is going to repeat infinitely as long as I enter a positive number. And once I entered a positive number, like number 10 here, it is stored in a variable called number, and it says 10, is it less than 0? No, this condition is not true. Therefore, the do while is terminated. And finally, we are going to print this message. You entered and then number here. So you entered 10. This is how we can have the do while loop being executed once before checking the conditions. And it's a practical example that we had here. Thanks for watching.